Hello and welcome to Wisdom Trek. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, and I am your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day-a-week, 7 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. This is day 246 of our trek, and yesterday we arrived back at base camp after a 25-day trek covering the Wisdom Trek Life Plan program called Your Life Plan Blueprint. If you missed any of the days of our Wisdom Trek episodes, please go to wisdom-trek.com to listen to them and to read the daily journal. Paula and I are refining the daily concepts along with the worksheets into an easy-to-use workbook, and I'll let you know as soon as we have it completed so that you can download it. For the next several days, we will be remaining in camp as we search for more nuggets of wisdom found in the book of Proverbs. We will continue with chapter 7, where we left off from our previous study in Proverbs. We are recording our podcast from our studios at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. This past Friday evening, we took Mom Jarvis, who lives with us, to Applebee's for her 83rd birthday. We had a good meal and Mom had her favorite brownie bites for dessert. After that, we stopped by Elizabeth and Nat's home and spent time with the grandkids, and they also had a birthday cake for Grandma Jarvis there. It was a pleasant evening. After returning home Friday, I had the privilege of being interviewed by Ulf Hergestad for his newly released Being a Better Man podcast. I'll let you know when it does air. On Saturday, I made real good progress on the woodworking floors in the library. When we return later in February, I'll be able to apply polyurethane to them. On Sunday, we headed back south to our home in Indian Trail. But for today, let's gather around a campfire and dig for more nuggets of wisdom, which are found throughout the book of Proverbs. So sit back and relax as we share together. As you visualize the campsite today, take in the sights and sounds of the outdoors. Listen to the crackling of the fire as it whispers bits of wisdom. Let them permeate your heart, your mind, and your soul. Today we will continue with chapter 7. As we look back a little bit, if you recall, the first 9 chapters of Proverbs is considered Solomon's wise lessons, where he instructs his children, and specifically his sons, how to gain wisdom and the perils that will come to them if they do not follow these lessons. Proverbs chapter 7 through 9 are considered the last and greatest of Solomon's lessons. Since chapter 1, we have read the words that Solomon taught his children. Solomon's wise lessons end in chapter 9. From chapter 10 on through the remainder of the book of Proverbs lists short and distinct and many times contrasting proverbs or wisdom nuggets. If we look back at the Hebrew text for chapters 7 through 9, Solomon writes 3 great poems. The first great poem is in chapter 7. This poem is about a woman who tempts a simple man. The man behaves like a fool because he trusts her. This man does not realize what will happen to him. The second great poem is in chapter 8 and the first part of chapter 9. This moves us as a reader into a court situation. In the Old Testament times, legal matters were handled and settled at the city gates. This poem is a legal hearing, such as one that you would hear in front of judges or elders of the town. The speaker, who is a woman lawyer, is called Wisdom. She argues the case that everyone should listen to her words and precepts. And the final great poem is in the last part of chapter 9. This poem contrasts a woman lawyer called Wisdom with another woman lawyer called Folly. Both lawyers plead their case and invite the simple people to come to an eternal feast. If you accept the right invitation, you will be set free to eat abundantly and have eternal life. If you accept the other invitation, then you will be condemned to death. The choice is clear, and the choice is yours. Let's dig into Proverbs chapter 7, which is titled, Another Warning About Immoral Women. Let's first read verses 1 through 4. Follow my advice, my son. Always treasure my commands. Obey my commands and live. Guard my instructions as you would guard your eyes. Tie them on your fingers as a reminder. Write them within your heart. Love wisdom like a sister. Make insight a beloved member of your family. If we look back to Proverbs chapter 2, verse 2, Solomon told us to learn to be wise when he said, Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding. In the first part of chapter 7, he tells us that wisdom should become part of the very fabric of our lives, as if it were our eyes, our mind, and heart. Proverbs chapter 2, verse 1, Solomon told us, My child, listen to what I say and treasure up my commands. Now he tells us to love wisdom like a sister. He continues to compare wisdom to a woman, which in itself is wise advice. Solomon's lessons are very personal lessons. Wisdom must be close to us. Wisdom must become part of us. Wisdom must be part of our lives. Wisdom must guide every decision. Let's move on to verse 5 of chapter 7. Let them protect you with an affair from an immoral woman, from listening to the flattery of a promiscuous woman. Here we see that wisdom will protect us when evil things attract us. In earlier chapters, Solomon writes extensively about inappropriate sex when it is conducted outside of marriage. However, his exhortation applies to all types of evil behavior. His story warns us about people who will tempt us with evil desires. In this story, a woman will tempt a simple man to have sex. Solomon shows how one person can tempt another person. In the remainder of chapter 7, he also shows the result if we do evil things. Since it has been a few weeks since we stayed in camp to dig for nuggets of wisdom in Proverbs, let me remind you that in the study of Proverbs, there is a big difference between a simple person and a foolish person. A simple person has not learned to be wise, but is capable of accepting wisdom and applying it to their lives. They can learn. In Proverbs, when a person is referred to as a fool or foolish, it implies that this person knows about wisdom, but has refused to apply it to their lives. They have rejected God's wisdom and chosen to live by their own foolish precepts. Since we spent most of January on an extensive 25-day trek where we explored Wisdom Trek, Your Life Plan Blueprint, we will reflect for several days on the abundance of wisdom contained in Proverbs. We will take our time to dig for the nuggets of wisdom and apply them to our lives. Tomorrow we will continue with verse 6 of chapter 7. So encourage your family and friends to join us and then come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. That will finish our podcast for today. As you enjoy your daily doses of wisdom, I encourage you to help us promote Wisdom Trek in the following 4 ways. First, leave us feedback about the podcast at wisdom-trek.com so we can continually improve. Second, on your smartphone, subscribe at iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, SoundCloud, or Stitcher so that the podcast will be downloaded to you automatically each day. Third, on your computer or if you have an iPhone or iPad, leave us a rating or review at iTunes. This will help to get the word out to others so that they can join us on our Wisdom Trek. And fourth, most importantly, please share Wisdom Trek with your family and friends through email, Facebook, Twitter, or in person so they can come along with us each day. The journal for today's trek can be found at wisdom-trek.com. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I do consider you my friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. As we take this trek together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.